It's a fixture played more than any other in Argyle's history. The Greens are at Bristol Rovers. Hello, good afternoon. This is Argyle TV, and it is the 150th meeting between Plymouth Argyle and Bristol Rovers. The first time in the league since that game you just saw there back in March 2021. Argyle, of course, go into it top of the table with a little cushion at the top too, despite Ipswich's win yesterday against Derby. They're in formidable form, but do come up against the Bristol Rovers side, who similarly have hit a little patch themselves. They've won their last three in the league, sit 12th in the division. That's, of course, after winning promotion so dramatically at the end of last season. Commentary of the game is coming up from 3, of course, on Argyle TV. Depending on where you are, depends on how you can consume it. If you live overseas, then you can watch the game for just £10. If you live inside the UK, we'll be providing audio commentary for you. All of the streaming options are available on our website, pafc.co.uk, and just look for the Argyle TV tab. Before 3, though, we'll be building up to the 150th meeting between the two sides at the Memorial Stadium, and helping guide us through it is the former Argyle defender, Brian McGlinchey, who, as always, is with us today. Brian, afternoon. It's all kind of building up to a bit of a cracker with these two sides banging in form, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Argyle are obviously flying high at the top of the table. Rovers on a good vein of form, but I think Schumacher's comments earlier in the week will be very much on just trying to continue with the same vein of form, keep the spirit high, and keep the consistency going. And I think if they do that, it should be a good afternoon for us.
Yeah, I mean, consistency has been the key word for Stephen Schumacher so far this season, and he's managed to get it, hasn't he? Which is why we are where we are.
Very much so. For me, I like the fact that he can make changes, especially on the top end of the pitch. I think we're very much not predictable. He can bring on players that can do things differently, and he's won games by making good changes late in the game as well. With 20 minutes to go, he's brought on 2 strikers to sort of change the game. So for me, it's a real advantage this year. There's a lot more strength and depth in the squad. I think last year we did amazingly well last year, but the last 5 games we've probably ran out of steam. And now we've got a bigger squad and players now that can affect the game in as I say, the top end of the pitch. So for me, it all bodes well. So good recruitment in the summer.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have a little look at the team news in just a moment. We will also encourage you to get in touch with us as well. You can do so on social media at Argyle on Twitter and Facebook, or you can drop us a message below in the comments underneath this YouTube video. As Brian says, it's been a pretty consistent start to the season for Argyle, just one defeat in their last 10 games. And they managed to pick up another win on the road last weekend against MK Dons. Let's remind ourselves just how good that day was.
Infield to Randall. He looks up, low ball, nice pass. Azaz spins and turns, and now Whittaker has a bit of space on the right-hand side. Ennis up with him. Whittaker still going inside the penalty area, slipped through the goalkeeper and in. That's crossed the line. It's a huge error from Cumming, and Argyle have the lead. Well, it won't be his most pretty goal, Morgan Whittaker, and he's scored quite a few of those, but he won't mind. Oh, he's been played in brilliantly here by Azaz. Left-footed strike. Oh, it's gone wide. It's a massive opportunity for Whittaker. He was onside. Here is Lonvik. Left-footed pass again, splits the midfield and finds Azaz, who's got space to run at the MK Dons defence. Gets towards the edge of the penalty area. Mumba's free on the right-hand side. Into Ennis. Oh, it's a great goal. It's a great finish. It's a great move, and Argyle have doubled their advantage. Great challenge in the middle from Randall. It breaks to Azaz. Is this going to be 3? Yes, it is. Goodness me. It was so easy for Argyle. Important that Argyle do keep MK Dons out in this first half. They lead by 3-0, have been far superior, but here come MK Dons again. Grigg inside the penalty area. Low ball across goal into the side netting. Back. Cleared away by Cumming. Mumba then has to get into that central defensive position to cover Lonvik. The ball is bouncing around in the air. Barry controls it nicely, slips it through. Opportunity here through the middle. Will Grigg onside, scores. And MK Dons are back into this game. He's able to play a low ball into Barry, who's been caught on it, and Azaz will run forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Can he make it 4? He can! Oh, just like that, Argyle restore their 3-goal advantage, and Finn Azaz wheels away in celebration towards the Argyle support.
Yeah, a 4-1 win, handsome 4-1 win, really. Tremendous performance from Argyle last weekend. There was, of course, a game midweek too. That was a 1-0 win over Crystal Palace under-21s. But it means that the Greens, as I said, have won 9 of their last 10, just dropping 2 points in that time. And looking to continue to build that little cushion that they had built up to 4 points. It's down to 1 after the win yesterday for Ipswich against Derby County. There is actually a game going on in League One currently at the moment as well, between Lincoln and Sheffield Wednesday, who of course are in 3rd spot. Sheffield Wednesday currently winning that one as we approach half-time. But let's have a look at the team news, shall we, for this afternoon's game up at the Memorial Stadium. It is well, here we go. One change made from that game that happened last weekend, a 4-1 win over MK Dons. It is a strong-looking Argyle lineup, of course, as it always has been. Matt Butcher, the man to drop out. It's Brendan Galloway coming in. Just looking at the team, Brian, and the change that has been made. I suppose Matt Butcher was filling in at left-sided centre-back last weekend. And if Brendan Galloway is fit, he's going to play there, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. Galloway's, he's obviously that's his natural position. He's very, very sort of comfortable in that position, and he played obviously in midweek as well, and he got another sort of, I think he played 90 minutes in midweek, I think. So that's good for him, and he'll come in and slot in there nicely. But Galloway for me has been magnificent since he's come to the club. That injury was obviously a bit of unfortunate for him, but he's come in brilliantly, and really strong lineup, as you say.
Obviously, no Dan Scarr on the side, so Lonvik will probably deputise in the middle of that back three. We've seen it throughout the season, Brian, the kind of rotation of strikers and forward players that have been playing. And the stat that's been doing the round recently is that all of our forward players have 5 league goals. Hardy has 5, Whittaker has 5, Ennis has 5, Cosgrove has 5, Azaz has 5 in the league. It all kind of adds up to how well we're doing at the moment, I suppose, isn't it? That if one doesn't play well or score, that there are 4 or 5 others that can do that.
Yeah, and that's what I said sort of early in in the sort of commentary here, in the sense that, yeah, we've got massive difference now. We've got players who can come in and score goals for us, and massive competition for places, and different players are winning games for us. It's a real sort of, it's a good feeling around the club, and it's a good sort of position to be in as a manager. I guess that gives him a headache as well of who he has to pick, and sort of reading these sort of post-match comments and pre-match comments, in the sense of, yeah, he does his analysis, his team do the analysis, and then they work out which players are right for the game. And for me, that's, it's just testament to what the club are doing and what the management and the staff are doing. They're getting the players in the right positions and the right sort of mental sort of approach for games, and giving them all the preparation and messages that they need. And yeah, as I said, the recruitment's been really good. Really good loan players coming in as well in the summer. So yeah, good competition for places.
Just worth pointing out that Sam Cosgrove not involved today, picked up a little strain. Nothing really to worry about too much. It does mean that young Kieran Edworthy again will get a spot on the bench. And looking at that bench, Brian, we've spoken about it in recent seasons, but you've got 3 youngsters on there: Will Jenkins-Davies, Finlay Trask, in their first year of being a pro, and Kieran Edworthy there as well. It's heartening to see, isn't it?
100%. I think that's one of the things that this manager and the previous manager did, didn't they? They actually promote from within. They like to give the academy players a chance if they're good enough. 100%. So, and we saw that in midweek as well, with a few young players getting starts as well. So really bodes well, and good experience on the bench as well. And that's the one sort of big difference, I think, this year. We've got good strong bench, in the sense we can change games, and obviously, that's the difference. It's a squad game. You're not gonna be able to play your starting 11 every week, and yeah, and that's one of the big things that Argyle have got in the favour this year.
Just looking through some of the comments that have been coming in on this. Remember, you can get in touch with us on social media at Argyle on Facebook and on Twitter, or you can drop us a comment in the section below. Lots of people getting in touch on Twitter, especially. There's a couple of people asking where Cosgrove is, but we've cleared that one up. But other people just saying strong lineup by the boss. That's from MG. Jack says announced 3 points. Getting ahead of himself slightly there, Jack, I suppose. Carl saying our strongest team bar Scar, I think, into them, lads. And I suppose that is the one. Brian, Dan Scar, he serves his second of his 3-match ban, so he'll be missing for the Shrewsbury game. We'll be back for Exeter next Monday. And I suppose he had been an ever-present. He'd been playing so well, but having Galloway back and, as you say, playing 90 minutes in midweek just means there's a little bit of leeway there with that defensive positioning.
Yeah, exactly. We're fortunate. We've got 4 players there that can sort of fit into those 3 spaces that can do a really good job for us. So yeah, obviously Scar's been magnificent. I thought he was magnificent midweek as well, and that game against Palace, he enjoys those battles, doesn't he, against a centre forward, and probably a nice timely sort of to come back for the extra game, because that will be a battle. So yeah, good options from, as I say, in the squad, and I say Galloway's an able replacement coming in.
Well, let's have a little look at the Bristol Rovers side for today then. Here you go. They've made a couple of changes. Joey Barton from the side that beat Cheltenham 4-1 so convincingly last weekend. Those changes see Harry Anderson and Luca Hall come in for Paul Coots and young Gibbons at right fullback. Worth noting there, Scott Sinclair signed in the week on the bench, back at the place where he started his career, of course, played on loan at Argyle for half a season as well. We mentioned their form, Brian, coming into it. 5 wins in all competitions, 3 in a row in the league. They're beginning to, and sometimes this happens, doesn't it, for a promoted side, beginning just to find their feet at this level.
Yeah, 100%. So one thing you'll expect from a Joey Barton side is intensity and work rate, and getting about the pitch and making it difficult. And reading his comments, he wants to try and get a scalp today against the top of the league side. So and 2 Scousers at it really from the bench as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic goes during the game today. So yeah, they've got a few experienced players now, like Rossiter. Obviously, he's been about the leagues, isn't he? And from Liverpool originally, and Finlay as well. They've got experienced players in and around that team. But for me, if we can get our 2 number 10s, for me, is Az and Whittaker on the ball in those spaces between midfield and in the front, we can be devastating. I think that's where we're really, really good. That's the difference that this year compared to last year. we're a lot more dynamic going forward. We're harder to pick up. We're harder to sort of to defend against. So yeah, I think if we played anywhere near our potential, I think it should be 3 points as has been said earlier, really.
Yeah, people coming in with bold predictions. Hopefully, it will be that way. Just a quick word on Scott Sinclair. Into his 30s now, but what a career he's had. Started life out at Bristol Rovers. Quite nice, I suppose, to see him go back there. May well finish his career there, but at this level, he's bound to still have immense quality, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. So he's got a short-term contract, so he'd be determined to try and make that a bit longer, going back to where it all started from. But yeah, fantastic professional. Had a fantastic career. Whereas he played Swansea, Man City, Celtic. So he's had a fantastic career. And I think he's been training with. I think he went back to Chelsea to keep his fitness up in the last couple of months to try and get himself a club. So yeah, a real good pro and he's he's obviously working hard to try and get a contract. So dangerous player. So if he does come on, we're going to have to be very, very making sure that we're keeping him quiet, because if he gets half a yard, he'll be able to get a strike off or get a shot on goal. So yeah, quality signing for them.
And I'll be wanting to impress as well, won't he? Having joined, as you say, on that short-term contract. Let's hear from the manager now, shall we? Stephen Schumacher, of course. Pretty happy with how things are going at the moment and wants that to continue.
Gaff, nice short trip this weekend, which is a change from the norm.
Yeah, the second shortest journey we have to make this season, I believe. So, looking forward to it. I think both sets of fans will be relishing the game. I think it'll be two teams as well who are in form at the moment. Bristol Rovers have been going well, so should all add up to a pretty tasty game, hopefully, yeah.
You mentioned their form. They are in very good form, haven't they? I think they've won the last 3 league games and put 3 past Swindon on Tuesday.
Yeah.
How do you see them at the minute?
Good. I think they've got some really good attacking players. They scored 4 goals. I think they were 4-0 up at half-time last week, so got firepower. They've got a bit of experience in the team. Midfield players who been around the block a little bit, and Coots and Rossiter, Sam Finley. Good players, and then defensively they've looked quite solid as well of late, so not conceding too many goals. So yeah, they're well balanced, I would say. I think we know how tough the game will be. We think that if we play the way we play, we can cause them a few problems as well. And yeah, it's just going to be another good game. So we're top of the league. We should go into it with confidence and try and put on a good performance. We spoke last week about how well we played at MK Dons, and we'll have to be equally as good, I think, if we're going to get anything from this one.
Yeah, it's about maintaining that standard that we seem to have set, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, and that's sort of the pitch to the players, that it's just to stay at the top end of the division, you need to be consistent. I say the 3 previous games before MK Dons, we didn't really pass the ball that well, but we passed it really well last week and got into a good rhythm in the game, and our forward players produced some good moments of quality, so that was really good. And if we're going to get anything from Bristol Rovers, then we're going to have to do that. So we speak about their firepower, we expect them to cause us a few problems. So yeah, I think there might be goals in the game, and hopefully we can come out on top of it.
It's going to be quite a big atmosphere as well, because it is a short trip for our supporters. I think our initial allocation sold out inside 10 minutes, and we got some extras. So it's going to have that big game atmosphere feel, which we've seen a lot this season, haven't we?
Yeah, I think the majority of the games will be like that, as long as we're, say, up the top end of the division. Everyone is coming to watch us at the moment, is enjoying what they're seeing, so that momentum grows. The fans don't want to miss out. I've got mates around here who are desperate to go to Bristol Rovers. They're looking forward to the one on Tuesday night against Shrewsbury, and then the other one after that on the Monday. So it's exciting, and that's what we like as coaching staff, as a team. We want that sort of type of support. We want to play in these big games because it gives you that little bit of energy. So yeah, we just need to keep enjoying it, keep embracing it, and keep trying to play as well as we can.
You mentioned just a moment ago about the kind of pitch to the players is keeping standards high. When you are playing so well, confidence is clearly high. What messaging do you give throughout the week, really, to the squad? Because I imagine you don't need to really G a side up massively if they're playing well anyway.
No, so I think in all games, whether you've played really well or you haven't performed to the standard that you have, I think it's important that you go over it and you debrief it. So it's not possible to debrief every single one, because when you have a 3-game week, it's hard to find the time. But I think it's important that you show the players areas where we think we can improve. So whether we do that as a group or we do it as individuals, where we take people aside and show what's been going on the video evidence, or we have a chat with the players, you know, that's important. But I think also it's important to show what you are doing well. So there was a lot of good stuff that happened last week at MK Dons, and I think if we continue to play like that and be as organised without the ball as we were, pass it with as much quality and show the bravery kind of what we did to pass the ball in what was a tough game, then we'll be okay. So yeah, ironing out the problems but reinforcing the good stuff as well will help everybody sort of stay on track, and just go with that attitude that we're never as good as what people say we are, and we'll never be as bad as what other people think you are as well. So try and stay level and keep trying to do the right things every day, and hopefully that stands you in good stead.
That comment at the end, Brian, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as people might say you are. It reaffirms everything that I know and I think supporters like about Steven Schumacher. He keeps it level. He obviously gets, you know, he knows his limits and the team's limits, but he just keeps it the same all the way through. And I think that's one of his absolutely massive qualities, isn't it?
100%. I think I've said that so many times in commenting when people ask me about him. From what I know about him, what he says, and what I read in the press and different things, he's very much so. Don't believe your own hype. You know, football's a cruel game. When you think you've got it nailed, it comes back and bites you really. So he's totally spot on. He's got to keep his players level-headed. There's a certain degree you've got to be confident and recognize the things you're doing well, but you've got to be totally focused on it's a new game. It's a new challenge today. Joey Barton's going to want to prove a point today, so he's got to get his players so up for it, in the sense that they can sort of play the battle initially, and then the football will maybe come out in the last 20 minutes, half an hour of this game. So very much so. He's got the right messages to give his players every week, which is brilliant to see.
And obviously, there's been quite a lot of speculation with him over the last couple of months, with championship jobs becoming available. There was a Huddersfield one that he was heavily linked with. Same with West Brom recently. Obviously, he's staying at Argyle, and he came out on Thursday and basically just reaffirmed what he had been saying the whole way through, which is, he's got a project here. His family live down here. He kind of loves it down here, and he wants to stick this through for the time being. And his sort of mindset and the way he comes across and all of that shows that, these sort of rumors or distractions won't distract him. And he, from the inside looking at it, he doesn't seem at all distracted by the things that are going on.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is for this to be his first job. This is an unbelievable opportunity for him, to be honest. And I think he realizes that. And the thing he's got is he understands what the support he's got as well. He's got a really good guy, Neil Jusnip, alongside him. He's got good coaching staff. The fans are behind. Everything's going well. So he knows what he's got here. So I think he's really sort of. I think he's privileged, and I think he realizes that, and he understands that, and he wants to make this happen. And he's continued on with the project that started with Ryan Lowe, and now he's continuing on taking it to another level. If I'm honest, I think he's adapted brilliantly from being a first team coach to being a manager, which is a difficult transition. If I'm honest, he's done it brilliantly. I think it's the right move, because we could be in the Championship next year playing against West Brom. So, that's the goal, and I think that's what he wants to do. The problem is that it's going to continue. If he keeps doing well, there's any jobs that are available, he's going to be in the mix for them, isn't he?
Certainly, but it proves exactly how well Argyle are doing, that is for sure, and how well he has been doing. Someone else who's been doing really well, and we spoke about the little quirky fact that 5 players currently have 5 league goals between them. That is Morgan Whittaker. And I spoke to him about how he is finding life down in Devon.
I think it could be better. Obviously winning player of the month last month, and us being top of the league as a team, I don't think it could be going better. I just think it's obviously clear messages from the manager. Everyone knows their role, and it's not just me that's scoring, everyone's scoring the top line. So think that just said everything itself, that everyone knows what they're doing and their role in the team.
Yeah, I think there's you with 5 goals, Finn with 5 goals, Niall has 6, Sam Cosgrove has 5, Hardy's got 7. You're sharing them out quite nicely, aren't you?
Yeah, it's never normally like this in a team. It's normally this one striker that has a good run, but it's all of us, so that's good as a team, knowing that if I don't perform, someone else can, and it's not all reliant on just one person.
The goal you did score at MK, probably not one of your prettiest, but you won't care too much, will you?
No, when I cut in and shot, my first reaction was, oh, and then I saw he spilled it, and I just was like on my toes running towards the goal, and I saw he went in and just celebrated. Yeah,
because you have scored some absolute crackers. I mean, the one against Ipswich at home park was one in particular, the one away at Charlton. You seem like you've got immense confidence in your ability to shoot.
Yeah, but I think that's as well with the manager as well. He's very confident giving in the players up front, and I think that just shows with the people that are scoring. You get a license to shoot, and people encourage you to shoot because they know what me and the attacking players can do.
With you though, how much have you worked on your technique? Because we saw it in a Swansea shirt against us as well, quite a few times. I don't know how to describe it because I'm not a football player, but everybody feels you will hit the target when you shoot.
Yeah, I obviously do it after most training sessions, but I feel confident in myself just knowing that's what I like to do, come in on my left foot, and I already have an idea where the goal is, and sometimes you just can't look, so you just have to know, and just obviously I'm doing it every day as well.
Is it sometimes, if you miss a target a couple of times, is it the key factor not to dwell on that and just think, well, the next one will hit the target?
Yeah, you just know you're going to get the chances, so I think you can't get disheartened because football's not perfect all the time. You're not going to score every once. It's just getting in the positions and keep doing it.
Let's talk about the team then. Top of the table, points clear on an incredible unbeaten run. Is it better than you would have expected when you joined us?
Yeah, 100%. I think you'd be top of the league, especially, like I said it before, looking at the games you've had. So I think now it's just making the most of the games we've got coming up and just trying to keep the run going for as long as possible.
Bristol Rovers on the weekend, team that got promoted. They're actually on a great run of form. I don't know whether you've seen their form. I think they've won their last 5 in all competitions. We always seem to play teams when they're on a good run, don't we?
Yeah, I know, but I think we've just got to be confident in ourselves, and we know we're going into that game confidence, top of the league, so that's all we've got to use, and hopefully we'll get the win. Just on that as well, you've mentioned the manager a couple of times and the coaching staff. Does the way they kind of prepare you for a game massively change? So you're going in to play against a team that is in form, regardless of whether they're top or near the bottom of the table. Are the messages similar to you guys? Yeah, I think so. Obviously every game is different, but some teams play the same, and we obviously need to look at them because they can be a threat, but I think obviously the focus is on us as well because we know what we can do, but we obviously can't be, we have to be cautious of the other team as well. And it's quite a short trip as well, this one. Yeah, luckily. It's about time.
Morgan Whittaker there, playing well, scoring goals. Brian, bring you back in as well on him. You've already mentioned the loan signings and how well they've kind of settled in and have improved the side, really. But on Morgan specifically, I was trying to get some info out of him there about his shooting and how much he practices it, because he must have, 4 or 5 shots a match, and they're not always going to go in. But as a defender, how tough is it knowing that this guy can beat me for pace, but also he might just ping one into the top corner as well?
Yeah, very much so. He's a quality act, isn't he? He shoots from distance. He shoots on sight. Keepers don't get set. He shoots early, and he can run at people. A few of his goals he scored, he's running and beating people. Obviously, the goal of the weekend was fortuitous in the sense of the goalkeeper error. But you've got that's when you shoot, you're open to those opportunities. But yeah, he's been brilliant. And and you think like Danny Mayer's coming back, and if he's come back, he's going to find a hard job replacing him. So, and that's what you want. So, I think he's done fantastic over the last sort of month or so. He's really gone to another level for me. And I remember him playing last year against Argyle in the cup, and he scored a couple of goals, didn't he? Maybe a hat trick.
Yeah, he got a hat trick.
Yeah, he was magnificent in that game as well. So that's where obviously we stood out from Argyle's perspective, and they went and they got him in this year. So. Yeah, they've done their homework, Argyle, and they've got a good player.
And on players like him and Finn Azaz and Barley Mumba, these loan players, people always kind of talk about not falling in love with loan players and as a support base, because they'll probably go at the end of the season, unless you can, tie them down to some sort of contract. But if you look at the successful sides in this division in recent years, they have had a core squad, but then have added the bits of quality with loan signings. Because, if you try to sign Morgan Whittaker, you'd be spending probably £1 million or something close to, wouldn't you?
100%. I think any team in League One, League Two, even the Championship, you could probably say to a certain level, have to utilise the loan market, because that's just the finances dictate that, to be honest. But it's getting the right characters in, isn't it, and getting the right people in. You don't want to have I think over the last maybe 3 or 4 seasons, maybe some of the loan signings, were maybe not up to maybe what we needed, or in key positions we maybe needed a bit more experienced. So I think he's got the right people in. They've done their homework and the right characters and right people. So yeah, great to see that those loan signings are working out. But that's all testament to what Argyle are all about as well. They've created that environment so those players can come down from maybe Premiership setups and they can sort of flourish in this sort of environment. So again, that's testament to what the manager and the coaching staff have done. And they want to come down here because they've talked about the traveling, for instance. It's a hard sell bringing them down here because obviously the travel as well. So yeah, to get them down into this environment, and they see what Argyle's all about, they probably don't want to leave, because they're enjoying it so much.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that Morgan and Barley and Finn, Sam too, all enjoying their time down here, as did the guys on loan last season as well. Keep your comments coming in, please, on social media and on the comment section below us here on the video on YouTube, at Argyle on Twitter. Nice to see some coming in at the moment. Slightly off topic, Carl goes, Charlie, is there any future prospect of coverage of the youth games and the women's in the future on Argyle TV? Hopefully. We are hoping to try and incorporate that at some stage. Jack's got in touch as well to say great recruitment from Argyle this year. And then goes on to say MK Dons are showing us what poor recruitment does. And we saw how they haven't been able to hit the heights last weekend, of course. But we're getting closer to kickoff here on Argyle TV, just under half an hour until we will bring you commentary of the Greens' trip to the Memorial Ground. And we'll be heading across to the Memorial Ground very, very shortly, as well as hearing from Joey Barton. Stay tuned for that. You're watching Argyle TV. We're building up to the Greens' 150th game against Bristol Rovers. Kickoff is about 25 minutes away. We'll be heading to the Memorial Ground in a moment to talk to Rob McNichol. But first, let's hear from the Bristol Rovers manager, Joey Barton, who was speaking ahead of this game.
Big week ahead for us. Obviously start at our place Saturday against the team that are top of the pile, and continues into probably two of the biggest clubs in the division on obviously the Wednesday and the Saturday. So really exciting times. It's why we got promoted out of League Two. It's where the club wants to be. It's that feel that we wanted after the disappointment of yesteryear. So yeah, look, delighted to get the good times back.
We got a draw at their place in the cup, but I don't think we can take too much from that game with two sort of chops and change lineups. What are you expecting from Plymouth?
They're a good side. Obviously, back three trying to create chances via the kind of 3-4-3 that they play. Lots of good individuals, certainly on the front side of the team. They've got some variations. They can maybe bring Hardy in, maybe bring Cosgrove in, maybe bring Ennis in. But then Whittaker and Finn are really good creators for them. The rest of the team, the 3 and the 4, are a good solid unit. They've been together a good period of time as a team. And again, another team that's come out of League Two with Lowy, obviously got promoted, I think 3rd as well. I think it was the COVID year when it got shut down. Obviously Ryan's moved on and gone to Preston and done really, really well, and obviously Stephen and the guys stayed there, and have consolidated, the good work that's been done at the football club over probably a 3 or 4 year period now, and they were unlucky last year. They just missed out on getting in the playoffs after looking a shoe in for it, and they've started this season really quick out the trap. So again, another side that we can use as a barometer for our progress.
We're speaking to Scott Sinclair shortly, but just recently, you can see in his face he's really excited to be back where he started his career.
Yeah, I mean, for us to be able to add someone of Scotty's experience and ability, at this stage of his career to our group, it will be invaluable. He's already been a really good team man in the short space of time he's been here, always talking to the younger players, mixes at the different tables in the dinner times, and I think he'll, once he gets up to full speed, I think he could be somebody who can certainly affect the team in a positive manner. But if his career is anything to go by, he could turn out to be a real astute take from us on the lateness of the October window. We're lucky he's out of contract at Preston, and I thought he'd go higher up the food chain based on the ability he's got and the condition he's kept himself in. But it hasn't happened for him that way. We get an opportunity to get him in, and it looks like it works for all parties. So hopefully this can be the cherry on the top of what's been a great career for Scott. And again, he comes to the club that he started out at. So is that a nice end to what has been a stellar career.
Quite complimentary in parts about Argyle there, Brian, saying that you can use clubs like Argyle as a bit of a barometer, having got promoted from the league and then pushing on. What do you make of him as a coach? He's got a promotion on his CV, got to the playoffs with Fleetwood.
Yeah, to be honest, I think he's in the infancy of his career, like our manager as well. So he's got lots to, and he's going down to the lower leagues to probably learn his trade. He's obviously been a really good footballing career himself, played at the highest level. He'll know what it takes and know what it takes to be a good side. So yeah, I'm sure he'll have a decent career. I think some of his comments around, Argyle, since our new manager has taken over, Louis consolidated. I think our manager's gone to another level. I think this club's more than consolidated. They've improved. They've shown that they're a real force in this division. And yeah, rightly so. We are a barometer in this league. We showed it last year that we can mix it, and it was only because of the size of our squad and injuries we couldn't finish it off last year. So we've rectified that this year, and we're not getting carried away. This squad, and we're just going to keep going. But yeah, good comments from him.
Yeah, well, we mentioned the comments, and I want to start with the good, because he then, in a later interview or with the external press, he kind of had a bit of a dig at Neil Dewsnip in particular, saying that he ended his career, or tried to end his career, when he was at Everton, and he still feels bitter about it all these years later. What do you think he's trying to do there, Brian, by saying that and having a big go actually at our director of football? Is he just saying it? Is he trying to make a point? Is he trying to put the pressure on Argyle? What's the purpose, do you think?
Well, first of all, from what I read, I don't think Dewsnip actually retaliated. He just didn't comment, which is good to see in a sense. Just ends it there, takes the sort of hot air out of his comments completely, to be honest. I just think that's his personality, if I'm honest, from what I read about him. I obviously don't know him personally, but he's just that type of character, likes to create a bit of, angst and just that type of stuff around him, So, thinking back to 14 years of age and someone's got an opinion, that's what it's all about. Football's got lots of opinions, and I think we were speaking off air. I'd probably give him the motivation to go on and have the career that he did, to be honest. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise that he had that bit of motivation to go and do that. So yeah, I don't know. I just think there's nothing in it really. It's just the type of character it is, and it will have no bearing on the game today. Absolutely none. Argyle just got to stay focused on what they have to do.
It's definitely riled up the crowd. Not that this game needs much more of a kind of stirring. It's one of the shorter trips for Argyle this season, as obviously mentioned. So many games played between the two over the years as well. But yeah, interesting viewpoints. Anyway, we'll be heading across to the Memorial Ground in just a sec and be getting a reminder of all of our team news. So stay tuned for that.
ball in. A good goal. Borgia.
Just under 20 minutes until kickoff at the Memorial Ground. You're watching Argyle TV. The Greens taking on Bristol Rovers for the 150th time. Let's cross to the Memorial Stadium now and speak to Rob McNichol, who is in position and joining us as usual. Hello, Rob. Nice to see you. How is it up there? Cold, grey, wet?
Yeah, blowing, which is why I've got the camera slightly lower so you can't see the barnet going all over the place. But no, it's I tell you what it is. It's loud. You can probably hear the announcer behind me. But I think the whole place is geared up for something today. You know, there's a lot of chat about the fact that it's sold out, both the Argyle end and the Rovers end. This is always a feisty game. You've just been talking about some of the comments from the Rovers manager, but these two teams will want to get one over the other. It's all set for a good day.
Yeah, you mentioned that tickets sold out so quickly. I think our first batch, when we put them on sale, was sold out within 10 minutes, and Rovers announced their sellout a couple of days ago. There is, even though it's not the closest rivalry, and we've obviously got Exeter City and Torquay United to a degree as well down here, they've got Bristol City. But maybe the fact that we played each other so much, wasn't it, why there's that sort of not rivalry, but just emotion in the game.
Yeah, I think there's just a little bit of history, and as you say, 150 games is extraordinary over the years. But also there's memorable encounters, aren't there? There's so many, the 2-3-2s, on consecutive festive periods, 2-0 down and winning 3-2. I think of being here when Carl Fletcher, lost his job here. There's been other games in the past as well, a couple of crackers at Home Park in recent times, and also some shared characters. Whether it's Graham Coughlin or Ian Holloway or now Scott Sinclair, Barry Hales. There's been lots of other players or managers that have come between the two, partly because of geography as well. So I think that's part of it. But I've spent a lot of time here, and it's always a loud place. I think the two clubs are quite similar in terms of their background. They're very local working class support that make a lot of noise at home games. So I think there's a lot of similarity between these two teams, two clubs indeed, and obviously we just hope that Argyle can come out on top today.
Yeah, I actually just want to ask you, because you've been working with Argyle for quite a few years, supporter as well, like myself. Any those 2-3-2 games, do they stick right in the memory? I especially remember that. I think it was the second one where Ashley Hemming scored in the last minute. I remember being in the end, and it was pelting with rain. That for me is the Boxing Day, wasn't it? That for me was the absolute, one of the best games I've ever been to.
Yeah, it was extraordinary. I was at that one. I wasn't at the other one. I was about 3 seats to the right of where I'm sitting right now, actually, for that game, and it was extraordinary. The fact that it happened 2 years on the trot. I mean, that's happened a couple of places, isn't it? Remember the two Swindon 3-2s as well, a few years apart, admittedly, but that same sort of pattern. Very weird how football can do that. But yeah, they were amazing days. Amazing days in a real horrible period for the club. There was just, that game itself was a highlight among a very, very dark few seasons. So it was a beacon of light, as it were. But yeah, that was extraordinary. As always, I think I say this quite a bit when you come to me. I will take a boring 1-0. It doesn't have to be an exciting 3-2 as far as I'm concerned. But if you get a bit of both, then that's a bonus.
Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing. I think I'd take another 3-2, but it might be a bit hard for the stress levels. Anyway, Rob, thank you very much. As always, appreciate your time. Rob will be on Twitter for us on Twitter and on Facebook at Argyle, guiding us through everything this afternoon. Let's just get a very quick reminder of the two sets of team news. We'll start with Argyle again. One change from the win against MK Dons last weekend. It sees Brendan Galloway come back into the side at the expense of Matt Butcher. Just a question on this. Brian, is there anything you'd change about that? Is that the strongest lineup you think we can go with at the moment?
Yeah, very much so. Obviously, maybe the Hardy one and Ennis is, obviously you could sort of toss a coin in a sense, but I think Ennis is in good form. Scored when he came on in midweek. So yeah, and I think what Ennis does is really good. He's really good at he's hold up play, brings players in the game where Hardy likes to run in behind. So for me, that's just good options from the bench in the sense that we can change it, we can stretch the game later on if we need so. So yeah, I think that's the team I would have probably sort of gone for if I'm honest. So yeah, I think it's a real good strong lineup.
Let's have a look at the Bristol Rovers team then. Joey Barton's made a couple of changes from the side that also won 4-1 last weekend. Luca Hall comes in at right back. There's also a spot for Harry Anderson in midfield. Aaron Collins, their striker, top scorer this season with 8 goals in the league. Scott Sinclair back at the place it all began for him at Memorial Stadium. He's on the bench, of course, played for Argyle as well, that little loan spell. Here's the other fixtures from around the division today. Obviously, Ipswich got a 1-0 win over Derby County yesterday at Portman Road. They've closed the gap to 1 point to Argyle at the top of the table. A win for the Greens would, of course, extend that back up to 4. Sheffield Wednesday currently in action at Lincoln. Into the final 10 minutes there, it's Lincoln 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1. Lee Gregory had put Sheffield Wednesday in front, but Danny Mandrio has equalised since in the second half for Lincoln. Other games to look out for: Portsmouth at Forest Green Rovers, Peterborough United take on Oxford, and Shrewsbury, who are here on Tuesday night, are at home to Charlton Athletic. Well, that is pretty much it from us in the build-up to this afternoon's game. Brian and I will be hot-footing it across to commentary. Remember, if you are overseas and want to watch this game, you can. It costs just £10. Go to our website, pafc.co.uk. Click on the Argyle TV tab for all your options. If you are in the UK, then it is audio commentary for you, and Brian and I will do our best to take you through it as much as we can. But it is another game for the Greens to try and extend their lead at the top of the table. They want to extend this unbeaten run, this winning run, in fact. Will they do it? Well, let's find out, because commentary of Bristol Rovers against Plymouth Argyle is coming up next.